The movie opens in the scorching desert. An exhausted, battle-worn conquistador stumbles across the endless sand alongside his young slave boy. Desperate and dehydrated, he pulls out an old map tucked inside a bottle, searching for a mysterious red circle that marks his salvation. He finally spots it just ahead. His face lights up with pure joy. But in his excitement, he pushes the cork too deep into the bottle. Now he can't get the map out. He needs something hard to smash the glass, and there's nothing around. Nothing except the boy's skull. Meanwhile, in America, troubled horror writer Om Bauman is struggling to finish the epilogue of his latest book. As he writes late into the night, he becomes immersed in his own twisted imagination. Back in the desert, the conquistador is slowly losing his mind. With no other options, he orders the boy to turn around. He raises the bottle, but can't bring himself to do it. Cut to Bauman. While writing, he starts seeing strange things, shadows creeping across the stairs, and whispers echoing through the darkness. Suddenly, the spirit of his dead mother appears behind him. Assuming he's simply imagining things, Bauman brushes it off and opens a cardboard box containing the belongings of his late parents. Inside, he finds photographs taken in Ireland during their honeymoon. In one picture, his mother is standing beside a giant tree. He also notices two cylindrical wooden urns containing his parents' ashes. Among the photographs is a flyer for a hotel called Bilberry Woods, the same place where his parents stayed during their honeymoon. Without delay, Bauman decides to travel to Ireland and honor his parents by scattering their ashes. After a long journey, he finally arrives at the Bilberry Woods Hotel. There he meets Fergal, the groundskeeper, who is busy cleaning guests' cars. Bauman notices a dead goat lying nearby and asks Fergal about it. Fergal casually explains that the goats are pests because they dirty the cars and damage the paint. Bauman finds the explanation strange but shrugs it off and heads inside. Inside the hotel, Mr. Cobb, the owner, is entertaining a group of children with a chilling story. He tells them about a stone hut hidden deep in the woods where an ancient witch once lived. According to the legend, the witch preyed upon lost travelers. She would first place them under her spell, leaving them dazed and vulnerable. Once completely entranced, she would shackle her victims and drag them into the underworld, where they became food for other restless spirits. At that moment, Bauman interrupts the story and tells the children to return to their parents. Shortly afterward, a receptionist named Mal, who also happens to be Mr. Cobb's son-in-law, arrives at the front desk and assigns Bauman a room. He explains the hotel's rules and informs him that a Halloween party featuring live music will take place later that evening. Mal quickly recognizes Bauman as a famous horror writer. Excited, he tells Bauman that his son is a huge fan and begins treating him like a celebrity. However, Bauman coldly dismisses the attention and heads toward his room. Along the way, he notices Mr. Cobb and Fergal standing outside a heavily guarded honeymoon suite. Curious but uninterested in getting involved, he continues on his way. Before long, Bauman becomes lost in the hotel's maze-like hallways. Fortunately, a bartender named Fiona helps him find his room. Before she leaves, Bauman asks whether she knows the location of the giant tree from the photograph. Fiona directs him to the exact spot. Later, Bauman scatters his parents' ashes beneath the massive tree. On his way back to the hotel, he comes across the carcass of another mountain goat. Nearby sits a seemingly delusional man named Jerry, who appears to have hunted it. Jerry offers Bauman a bottle of poitin, calling it the water of life, while he drinks a strange concoction of magic mushrooms mixed with goat's milk. Most of what Jerry says is impossible for Bauman to understand. Nevertheless, he politely accepts the drink and continues on his way. Back at the hotel, Bauman shares the ending of his novel with Fiona. In the story, the conquistador finally uses the boy's skull to smash the bottle, but the glass still refuses to break. Left completely alone, the man wanders aimlessly through the desert until he dies. Fiona calls the ending bleak. Bauman smiles and tells her that she reminds him of his mother, beautiful, just as she was in her prime. As their conversation deepens, Bauman reveals the tragedy that destroyed his family. His mother was murdered shortly after the honeymoon, and his father eventually drank himself to death. He then asks Fiona about the mysterious honeymoon suite that has remained locked for years. Fiona drops a shocking revelation. According to local legend, the suite is haunted by the very witch from Mr. Cobb's story. Mr. Cobb claims that he trapped the witch inside the room long ago. Fiona had previously tried convincing Mal to sneak into the honeymoon suite with her, but he refused out of fear of his father-in-law. She also showed Bauman her book of folklore and explained that if he ever found himself being chased by a witch, he should draw a protective circle around himself with chalk. Bauman laughed at the idea, dismissing it as nothing more than a fabricated legend. Just then, a waiter named Albie arrives. Fiona asks him to tell Bauman about his own terrifying encounter with the witch upstairs. The movie then flashes back to the day Albie sensed a strange presence inside the honeymoon suite. Armed only with a lighter, he cautiously peered into the darkness. To his horror, he saw the witch emerge from the shadows and step toward him. Later that night, after a few drinks, Bauman returned to his room, accidentally leaving behind his recorder and a photograph of his mother at the bar. Fiona gathered his belongings and headed to his room with Albie to return them. But the moment they opened the door, they were horrified to discover Bauman hanging from the ceiling. The film then jumps back in time and reveals what happened earlier. While riding the elevator, Bauman had been stalked by the spirit of his dead mother. The scene then returns to the present, where Bauman wakes up in a hospital bed after being rescued and hospitalized by Fiona and Albie. As he regains consciousness, he feels a gentle touch from what appears to be his mother's spirit. Sometime later, Bauman returns to the hotel only to learn that it is about to close for the season. He tells Mal that he needs to collect his belongings. While gathering his things, Bauman asks who brought him to the hospital. Mal replies that it was Fiona. Bauman immediately asks to speak with her. To his shock, Mal reveals that Fiona has been missing since Halloween night, several weeks ago. Bauman is left completely baffled. Nobody knows what happened to her. The hotel, the surrounding woods, and every nearby area were thoroughly searched, yet no trace of Fiona was ever found. Unable to believe it, Bauman presses for answers. Mal explains that the police suspect Jerry because Fergal saw Fiona talking to him shortly before she disappeared. Downstairs, Bauman questions Fergal directly. Fergal confirms seeing Fiona with Jerry and says he had repeatedly warned her to stay away from him. According to Fergal, Jerry murdered his own wife and has been hiding in the woods ever since. The more Bauman learns, the more determined he becomes to uncover the truth. His curiosity finally causes Fergal to lose his temper. He snaps at Bauman and warns him to leave the hotel immediately and return to the United States before he gets involved in something dangerous. Ignoring the warning, Bauman drives deep into the woods and finds Jerry living inside an abandoned van. There he discovers Fiona's folklore book. Jerry suddenly appears, startling him. Bauman immediately asks whether he had anything to do with Fiona's disappearance. Jerry calmly explains that Fiona was his friend and had simply lent him the folklore book. When Bauman asks why the police are hunting him, Jerry says it is because Fiona was last seen speaking with him before she vanished. He insists that he doesn't know where Fiona went. However, he also claims that he is certain she is dead. The statement leaves Bauman stunned. When asked how he can be so sure, Jerry reveals that 2 nights earlier he secretly visited the hotel to stock up on medicine. During that visit, he claims he saw Fiona's spirit pointing directly toward the honeymoon suite. Convinced that the answer lies there, Jerry plans to sneak into the hotel that very night after everyone leaves. He intends to discover what really happened to Fiona. To prove he's serious, he shows Bauman the key to the honeymoon suite. Before agreeing to help, Bauman asks Jerry about the accusation that he murdered his wife. Jerry explains that his wife was terminally ill and suffering terribly. According to him, she thanked him for ending her pain. Later that night, once the hotel is empty, Jerry and Bauman secretly slip inside. Jerry hands Bauman the key to the honeymoon suite before heading into the reception office to retrieve a crossbow. While Bauman waits outside, Fergal suddenly attacks Jerry from behind and chokes him unconscious. Moments later, Fergal emerges carrying the crossbow. Fortunately, Bauman has already concealed himself in the shadows. After finding nobody in the lobby, Fergal loads Jerry into the trunk of his truck and speeds away. As silence settles over the hotel, the call bell outside the honeymoon suite suddenly rings by itself, startling Bauman. Now alone, he decides to continue the investigation without Jerry. Using the key, he unlocks the security shutter, raises it, and steps into the elevator. Moments later, carrying only a lantern, he enters the infamous honeymoon suite. Inside, he discovers an old-fashioned clock that emits a sharp ticking sound at regular intervals. He searches every room for Fiona but finds no sign of her. Exhausted, Bauman eventually lies down on the bed and drifts to sleep. He finds himself reliving a traumatic childhood memory. As a young boy, he is playing with his father's gun while a strange rabbit character appears on the television. Then tragedy strikes. The gun accidentally fires. His mother is shot. As the horrifying memory unfolds, the rabbit-headed figure suddenly appears inside the room, silently staring at him. The creature continues watching him without moving. Before long, Bauman is jolted awake by Mal, who has come looking for him. Mal demands to know what he's doing inside the suite. Bauman explains that Jerry was convinced Fiona was somewhere up there. Mal then asks about Jerry's whereabouts. Bauman assumes that Fergal probably handed him over to the police. Since Fiona once saved his life, he simply wanted to return the favor by helping find her. Mal urges him to leave before they get into serious trouble. As they prepare to exit the honeymoon suite, Bauman notices a small window hidden within the wall. Peering through it, he discovers something unexpected, a basement concealed on the other side. And suddenly, the mystery surrounding Fiona becomes even darker than before. Mal desperately pleads with Bauman to leave the honeymoon suite, but Bauman refuses to listen. Determined to uncover the truth, he presses the elevator button. Moments later, the elevator rises from below. Realizing that the truth has finally surfaced, Mal panics. Without saying another word, he flees the honeymoon suite and locks the security shutter behind him, trapping Bauman inside. Bauman frantically searches for another way out but finds none. The film then flashes back to Halloween night. Earlier that evening, Mal had offered Fiona a cup of tea and encouraged her to drink it while it was still hot. Unaware of his intentions, Fiona drank it. Before long, she began feeling dizzy and disoriented. It turns out that Mal had secretly mixed the tea with an intoxicating substance. Once Fiona was unable to resist, Mal carried her into the honeymoon suite and placed her inside the elevator. He then sent her down into the basement, the very place where the legendary witch was rumored to dwell. The story then returns to the present. Near Fiona's body, Bauman discovers his old recorder. Trembling with fear, he presses play and listens to the final message Fiona recorded before her death. In the recording, Fiona reveals a devastating secret. She was pregnant with Mal's child. Mal wanted her to terminate the pregnancy, but Fiona refused. Determined to keep the baby, she stood against his wishes. As a result, Mal sent her into the basement to eliminate both her and their unborn child. As Bauman processes the horrifying confession, he notices a hidden trapdoor beneath a table. Meanwhile, Jerry regains consciousness inside the trunk of Fergal's truck. Quietly, he cuts through the plastic zip tie restraints binding his wrists, opens the trunk, and leaps onto the road. Back in the honeymoon suite, the spirit of Bauman's mother continues haunting him. Desperate for answers, Bauman tries forcing open the basement door but fails. The constant ringing of the old clock only adds to his growing anxiety. Then something even stranger happens. Fiona's corpse has vanished from the elevator. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream echoes from the basement below. Bauman rushes toward the sound while his mother's spirit follows closely behind. As he moves through the dark corridors, he becomes convinced that something is stalking him. A nearby television suddenly flickers to life. On the screen, he sees Fiona's reflection. The unexpected sight startles him. Then the rabbit man appears. Staring directly into the camera, the eerie figure recites Bauman's childhood confession. "I am Om Bauman. I am 10 years old. I was playing with my father's gun when it accidentally went off and killed my mother. My father hates me more than anything in this world." The chilling words force Bauman to relive the guilt he has carried his entire life. Moments later, Fiona's voice plays once again through the recorder. She explains that the dumbwaiter's control button is broken, making it impossible for her to return upstairs. Following the sound of the ringing bell, Bauman discovers the hidden button behind the mechanism. Just then, the boy presses the switch with a stick. The dumbwaiter suddenly activates. When it reaches the top, Fiona's corpse rises back into view. Confused and terrified, Bauman carefully removes the body and places it on a nearby chair. Then, gathering his courage, he climbs onto the elevator platform and descends into the basement himself. Below, he discovers countless belongings left behind by previous victims who were thrown into the darkness and never returned. Ignoring the disturbing evidence, he presses onward, determined to discover what truly lurks beneath the hotel. Eventually, he reaches what appears to be a dead-end corridor. Believing he has found nothing, he sits down and resumes listening to Fiona's final recording. Through tears, Fiona describes seeing someone in the basement moments before being brutally killed. Immediately, Bauman becomes alert. Nearby, he spots a piece of chalk lying on the floor. Panic takes over. He rushes back toward the elevator, desperate to escape. But then the legendary witch finally emerges from the shadows. Slowly and relentlessly, she advances toward him. Fortunately, the ghostly child presses the button again, sending the elevator upward just in time. Bauman narrowly escapes. However, the witch refuses to stop her pursuit. Moments later, she arrives upstairs as well. Terrified, Bauman races through the suite searching for an exit, only to discover that every door has mysteriously locked itself. With nowhere left to run, he hides inside a bedroom. Remembering Fiona's folklore book, he grabs the piece of chalk and hurriedly draws a protective circle around the bed. The witch enters the room. Step by step, she approaches him. At the very last second, Bauman dives onto the bed and lands inside the protective circle. Unable to cross the boundary, the witch is forced to stop. Bauman survives the night. The following morning, Mal returns to the hotel and immediately notices blood smeared across the reception counter. Soon afterward, he discovers Jerry attempting to break open the honeymoon suite's lock with an axe. Mal demands to know what he's doing. Jerry replies that Bauman is trapped inside and needs help. Thinking quickly, Mal lies and claims that he personally dropped Bauman off at the airport and that he has already returned to the United States. Meanwhile, inside the suite, Bauman cautiously steps out of the protective circle. The witch is nowhere to be seen. Although Jerry remains suspicious, Mal somehow manages to convince him that Bauman has truly left Ireland. Jerry then insists that they search the honeymoon suite for Fiona. Mal refuses, claiming she is not in the hotel and urging Jerry to leave and never come back. Inside the suite, Bauman begins pulling on the bell rope repeatedly, hoping someone outside will hear it. The ringing finally reaches Jerry. Realizing something is wrong, he raises his axe and demands that Mal hand over the key. Terrified, Mal reluctantly obeys. Jerry unlocks the security shutter, enters the elevator, and rides up to the honeymoon suite. Hearing someone arrive, Bauman calls out for help. Jerry locates him and smashes open the locked door. Once free, Bauman immediately reveals the horrifying truth. Fiona was murdered by Mal. But before they can react, Mal suddenly appears carrying a crossbow. Without hesitation, he fires. The bolt strikes Jerry directly, killing him instantly. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the hotel, a room heater suddenly catches fire. The flames begin spreading rapidly through the building. Seizing the opportunity, Bauman grabs the key to the honeymoon suite and escapes. After killing Jerry, Mal searches his pockets for the key but comes up empty-handed. Then the fire alarm starts blaring throughout the hotel. The sound instantly throws Mal into a panic. Realizing that Bauman now possesses the only key capable of opening the exit, Mal desperately begins searching for him. Knowing Mal intends to kill him, Bauman flees back into the basement. Once there, he quickly draws a protective chalk circle around himself to keep the witch at bay. At the same time, Mal descends into the basement in search of the missing key. Among the countless belongings hanging from the ceiling, he finally spots the key to the honeymoon suite. As he reaches up to untie it, the witch suddenly emerges from the darkness. Before Mal can react, she shackles his wrists. Terrified, he struggles helplessly as the witch drags him deeper into the underworld. Meanwhile, Bauman remains calm inside his protective circle. Moments later, the spirit of his mother appears before him once again. Overwhelmed with emotion, Bauman finally confesses the truth. He tells her that he accidentally pulled the trigger all those years ago and has carried the guilt of her death every single day since. His mother gently tells him that she already knows. She never blamed him. Then she urges him to leave the basement before it's too late. Elsewhere, the witch drags Mal into a chamber filled with tormented souls. The restless spirits immediately surround him. As punishment for his crimes, they begin tearing into him while he screams in agony. Taking advantage of the distraction, Bauman cuts through the witch's shackles, grabs the keys, and rushes back toward the elevator. Moments later, he safely escapes the basement. Back upstairs, the situation has become even more dangerous. The fire is now consuming the hotel. Using the keys, Bauman unlocks the final door and barely manages to lift the security shutter. Smoke fills his lungs as he stumbles outside. Exhausted and overcome by the fumes, he collapses unconscious. Just in time, Fergal arrives and drags him away from the burning building. Soon afterward, the entire hotel is consumed by flames. Later, Bauman wakes up in a hospital where Albie comes to visit him. With the hotel reduced to ashes, Albie has started a new job at a local ice cream parlor. Before leaving, he hands Bauman a photograph of his mother. According to Albie, one of the firefighters discovered it among the ruins of the hotel. The gesture deeply moves Bauman. When Albie is gone, he opens his laptop and resumes writing the final chapter of his Conquistador trilogy. This time, however, the ending is different. In the story, the Conquistador changes his mind at the last moment and refuses to use the bottle to harm the boy. Instead, he asks the boy to strike the bottle against his own head, but the boy refuses. Rather than obeying, he simply embraces the Conquistador. In the end, neither of them survives. With no food, no water, and no hope of rescue, they slowly perish together in the endless desert.